So, what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about today market analysis on tourism in the Riviera Maya, who's arriving, who's staying, who's not staying, about the hype of Tulum. We're going to talk about everyone's opinion. Everyone's an expert whenever there's a problem, but no one's a hero when everything's amazing. We're going to talk about how to increase your return on your investment from just instead of relying 100% on the classic pitch that return on your investment is all based on rental. Going to give you another kind of another spin on that idea. Okay.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So what's going on? How's your week? It's over, isn't it? Dude, I mean, we're already at the end of the year. Happy New Year, by the way. This year went by like that, dude.
I can't believe it's November. I know.
I mean, shit, dude. It's like Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Let's go.
See you next year.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have a lot of big things coming for this this year coming. I mean, you and I have been working on a lot of internal things for our subscribers, the people that are looking for this type of information. We have the Discord channel that has been released. It's my first time ever having a Discord channel, so I I don't really know. I just put the link out like, hey, if you guys need this information, but it is there. We have a lot of stuff inside there that's going to be built out. We have some developers, lawyers, accountants, people that are going to help structure your business to really have this all make sense for an investor. I think times have changed since I bought my property, right, before COVID. And now with any market, it's the same with the iPhone, with any market that there's a new product that comes out or a new place similar to like Tulum, Puerto Morales will go through the same thing where people will start rushing there, and there's a bell curve. There's growth, crazy growth. It comes down a little bit and it starts to level out and be a normal market. You saw that. I mean, you have more experience with Playa del Carmen than I have. You were here, but the same thing happened with Playa del Carmen. The same thing happened with Cancun. And I think what you
Cancun's still
said
going,
is,
man. Cancun is probably, I think right now I think it's Cabo, the Riviera Maya, Cancun, or Cancun maybe is right there with Cabo. But Cancun's been like booming since like the 80s. Like I think it really kicked in like hard probably in the late 90s, early 2000s is when it really started taking off in Cancun. It used to be the benchmark for Mexico, right? People would say, you're going to Mexico? Yeah, Cancun, right? It was like, and then before that, back in the 70s and 80s, actually, I stand corrected, it was Acapulco. And Acapulco was like the place, to go to. But real quick as a side joke, you just said right now, you said iPhone and technology and how iPhone has to come out with new stuff to constantly keep on getting you buying their stuff, right? But recently, iPhone came out with something new that's been around for 10 years with Androids. It was a C plug. So the C plug was the new and improved iPhone, was the Android Galaxy One type plug, no? So I thought that was kind of funny.
Well, I meant from a consumer standpoint of everybody in 2007, everybody jumps into the iPhone and they have this crazy growth because month over month, that's a percentage. So we have 10,000% growth. Well, all of a sudden now everybody has an iPhone, so you don't have 10,000% growth numbers as 2007.
He's got the new ones coming out. That's it.
And
new phone.
So that's what I was referring to, is because the growth is not, I wouldn't say it's peaking. I mean, if this was a baseball game, I'd say maybe we're in the third or fourth inning,
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because what you're about to share again and again, we've been sharing this. This is our third time doing this, and these numbers are still here. And
they're actually getting bigger.
And they are getting bigger as we go into our higher season. But you said two things. You said everybody wants to be a hero when things are not
No,
going the
everyone
right
wants to
way.
be a hero when everything's amazing. Like everyone's like
Exactly.
on the screen doing YouTube videos. Look how successful I am. Look how amazing it is. And then whenever excuse my terminology, when the shit hits the fan, everyone's like, "Yeah, I knew that was going to happen." No one steps up to actually try to give you the real deal. You know, the real deal, Holyfield, and why this drought, so to speak, in returning your investments really happening. You know, and a savvy investor, I'm not saying I'm a savvy investor. I'm not some multimillionaire. But I am very logical and I have some common sense, which is the least common thing on this planet right now is common sense. And if you look at something, there's going to be a limit to everything. It's not when people say the sky is the limit. Well, when you're looking at real estate, you really don't want the sky to be the limit because what's going to end up happening is not everyone's going to be able to invest. It's going to be too expensive. And that happened in a lot of the markets where, I was in Austin when the first crash happened, the .com crash happened. I worked for Dell Computers in 2000. And that's when the first .com crash happened. Everyone was just throwing hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars into these .coms. It was like the revolutionizing pets.com, Travelocity came out, all those travel agency, like Google. I remember when, man, I to this day, everyone's got that story about Bitcoin, right? Well, mine's about Google. I had an opportunity to buy Google at like 30 something dollars a share back in like 2000 something. And nobody even cared what Google was. We're like, Google, I use Yahoo, I use Ask Jeeves, go fetch. That's what we were using. That was like the place to go get your information. And Google was some side app, that's trying to make their push into the world. But it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. Eventually, it's just not sustainable and it's going to pop. But it doesn't pop to go away. It pops to resettle and regrow more like stronger. It's like a really nasty example, but it's almost like your muscle, not nasty, but like your muscle growth in the gym. You go to the gym and you work out, you're doing it. The way you get bigger is by tearing muscle, right? And that muscle tears and it rescars and reforms and gets bigger and forms and big and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But you have to tear the muscle to increase the strength, right? I feel it's the same exact thing with the market down here. It's going to have a pop, it's going to break, but it's going to settle down a bit stronger, have a better foundation, not based on COVID occupancies, not based on studios and one bedrooms and unrealistic numbers on Roy. And that blew up and it popped, it's settling down. Now we're coming back with villas. Now we're coming back with more amenities. Now we're coming back with realistic numbers. And it's going to grow.
Trains, airports,
Huh?
trains,
Yeah.
airports.
And it's going to grow again. It's going to get bigger, but stronger, more sustainable. We're going to have things to be doing in Tulum. So long story short, the reason I'm telling you this is it was inevitable that it was going to happen. It was not sustainable charging somebody $100 a night to stay in a studio. Why? Because eventually they're going to build more. They're going to build more because there's money in it. And then eventually you're not going to have that studio in a prime location anymore. If you wait for the perfect time to buy a condo, you're going to wait forever because you're never going to have the latest and greatest. It's just like the technology. I use this as a reference a lot because it has a lot of similarities for me. When I used to talk to people on the phone on buying like entire like a NAS, or a tape backup system or whatever it was at Dell, they're always like, yeah, but there's a new one that just came out. That's coming out tomorrow, and then the new one. Well, every day something new is going to come out, and you're never going to get the latest and greatest. Someone's going to come out with something better. And in condos, when a developer does their job and does a proper market analysis, they're going to do a market analysis of a 5 kilometer radius around their condo and or the development or whatever they're building. And they're going to do a benchmark and they're going to see all the positives that the condos around them have, all the things they're missing, and their condos are going to have that. And they're going to jack their price up by maybe $30 a square meter. So now you're going to get everything the other people don't have. And then the next person can do the same thing. And then it's going to keep going up and up and up. So you're never going to have the best, unless you buy oceanfront beach property. And we've got a piece of property right now, oceanfront in Tulum. It's like $2.4 million. If you're interested, let me know. But unless you buy something like that, you're not going to have that kind of setup. So I think these bubbles are meant to happen. They pop. It's nice to jump on it on its way up. And it's good to know that when it pops, you have a solid financial foundation, that you're not in panic mode when it pops, so you can rebuild at that moment and buy more and enjoy the next rise, and then it pops and buy more. Eventually it's going to stabilize, and it won't be a pop. It'll just go up, and it'll start doing, peaks and valleys slowly. And that's kind of where Playa del Carmen is. Playa's had their ups and downs, really heavy ups and downs. And Tulum right now is having its down. But right now is when you want to buy. Right now it's what you want to do. So anyways, let's talk about this Sedator, Secretary of Tourism. So this is the last week of October, or the 20th of October to the 3rd of November. That's simple, okay? Yeah. So hotel occupancy is at 70%, almost 71%. Okay. The highest occupancy looks like it's Costa Mujeres, which is, if you haven't been to Costa Mujeres, it's unbelievable. The beaches are like this picture you see right here. It's like kite surfer's dream. White beaches, and you can walk out in the water. It's almost, Holbox is cool, where the water's like up to your thighs. Well, it's like that up in Costa Mujeres, up in Playa Mujeres. It's really beautiful up there. I say up there because it's like an hour and a half to get there from Playa del Carmen.
Where is it?
It's north of Cancun, man. You go up Cancun, keep going, you go past.
Oh, close to Isla Blanca.
Isla Blanca is at the very, very end.
Costa Mujeres, I've been there.
It's on the way up. It's on the way up.
Yeah, I've been there. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the way up there. So how many people arrived to the airports in the Caribbean, which is only 2 right now, right? It's Chetumal and Cancun, and 3, and Cozumel. So 453,771 tourists or people arrived to the airports. That's up, I think, 70,000 from a couple of weeks ago when we talked. I think we're at like a 383 a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so we are at 453 now. 38% of those are Americans. If you remember a couple of weeks ago when we talked about this, it was at par with Mexico, right? So it was like 36% Mexicans, 36% Americans. Well, now it's 38% Americans now are starting to travel. So amidst all the chaos, all the craziness happening in the United States with, with politics and Trump and hate Trump and love Biden, hate Biden, love Trump, people are still traveling. Even though the inflation's at the highest it's been since 1980, I think was the last time it was at 8% on the interest rates or something like that. I read the other day, something insane like that. So still people are traveling. People are still spending money, to come down here on vacation. Vacation money is a luxury. I don't think everybody understands that. If they do, it is a luxury, and it's disposable income, because at the end of the day, you literally have nothing left to show for that money you spent in a hotel. Nothing. I'm talking after 30 years of vacationing, spending $5,000 a year, you've spent $150,000 on vacations. At the end, all you have left is pictures, memories, and souvenirs. You have literally nothing left other than that. So that's actually a good financial logic conversation to have with someone that's interested in buying, or you guys are listening to this right now, is if you multiply how many times you go on vacation per year, including your weekend trips. Take your weekend trips, road trips, take your annual trips. Let's say you're spending $10,000 a year. You're going to spend $100,000 anyways in the next 10 years, because you're not going to burn your suitcase the moment you get home after this last vacation. This is not your last vacation. You're going to continue traveling for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So if you're going to spend the money anyways and get these pictures, memories, and souvenirs, instead of doing that, you might as well just buy yourself a condo. Get a condo and actually have something to show for it. At the end of all these vacations, you got something that's either generating your money or a place to come stay. Forget the equity start. Forget the part about trying to make money on your Airbnb. Why not stop spending money on hotels and buying yourself a place and using it and actually getting some money at the end of the day back from your property that you're vacationing in, right? So people are still traveling. Where are they coming from? Mexico, Canada, United Kingdom, Colombia, Argentina, France, Spain, Germany, Brazil. Okay, and the rest of the markets, it's 9% altogether with all the other ones mixed together. We're going to talk about cruises. So total for the month of October, there was 91 cruises arrived to the Caribbean. Remember, I think a couple of weeks ago, that was at like 30, wasn't it?
It was like 35 maybe. Yeah.
Wasn't it? Right. So yeah. People are coming here. This is great for like Cozumel and Chetumal. I mean, Cozumel gets, Mahahual, but these are tourists to come. So I said this before, I think in one of our first two that we did this. We have land in Cozumel that you can buy and you can build a commercial building. You have some stores on the first floor and you have some condos on the second and third floor. Those stores on the first floor, whoever rents those out from you, or if you want to decide to just put a small little business there, you're going to have 90 cruise ships arriving to your dock there and bringing people onto the beach or onto the island to go shopping for souvenirs. I mean, it's almost like a commercial ecosystem.
Yeah.
Literally, it all feeds each other.
I've been there. There are some shops there. There's some cool bars. I mean, honestly, if you had just a normal regular bar, like a sports bar or something there, it would draw attention. There's a couple of spots there.
For sure.
Yeah.
So let's see here. That just gives you how many arrive per day on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's kind of cool. You had Voyager, Carnival, Norwegian, Carnival Vista. It just tells you which cruise lines are arriving on which day they arrive. It's a cool way of breaking it down. All right, let's get out to the fun stuff. So flights. So total flights a couple of weeks ago was 1,600. Flying into the airport in Cozumel, Chetumal, and Cancun. So now we're at 1,809 flights. Okay, so we have in Cancun arriving 677 national flights, over 1,000 international flights arriving to Cancun. And same thing with Cozumel. Cozumel has 23 internationals and 16 nationals, and Chetumal is 19 and 19. It's pretty, I'm sorry, 19 national. It's not an international airport. Okay. Those are arriving. These are leaving and these are arriving. Sorry, my bad. I wasn't reading that. So there's 1,822 arrivals. Right, there's 20 more than I was talking about there. Okay. So moving on. I mean, it's just kind of cool to see how much traffic is coming in and out. So a total of 3,600 flights came in and out that week. Just the last week of October, first 3 days of November, into the airports in Mexico. 3,600 flights. It's unbelievable. And where they came from, where are people traveling from? What cities? Well, there's 8 cities in Canada.
This is just for this state. This is just for this state of Quintana Roo.
Correct. This is just Quintana, not Mexico. It's just here. Yes. So where they're coming from, 8 different cities in Canada, 33 different cities in the United States, 25 different cities in Mexico, 24 in Latin America, and 18 in Europe. It's nice. It's cool to see these kind of numbers, see where everybody's coming from, right? Yeah. Also, it's cool if a side note, where to market, where should our marketing be targeting right now? Where are people coming from? So if we're spending any money on marketing in Canada, maybe not so much right now. It's only 8 flights coming from Canada that week versus 33 and 25 in Mexico and Latin America. Maybe we should start focusing a little bit more in Europe and Latin America over Canada on our cost spend, our budget spend on marketing.
Yeah. Does Europe do that little circle right there in the middle of the ocean and then they come over here?
They all do that, dude.
Burn a little bit of gas.
Yeah, they do that. It's they're trying to create rain. These are the countries. I just talked about that a second ago. I want to get to the fun stuff, to the rentals. All right. So where are they staying? Out of the 400 and something thousand people that came down here on vacation, it's telling you where are they, how many rooms are being used up and where are they staying, right? So here it tells you 35% of them are staying in Cancun and 35% of them are staying in Solidaridad, which is Playa del Carmen and Puerto Venturas.
Mayacoba.
No, Cancun's up by themselves. Cancun's on the right up here.
Mayacoba.
Yeah, Mayacoba, basically the whole Riviera Maya, not including Cancun and not including Tulum. So it kind of tells you where everybody's staying, right? Again, we talked about this before. How many hotel rooms are available in total? 130,122. And where these are divided amongst the region on where people stay. So the big bulk is Benito Juarez, which is going to give you, that's going to be Cancun. And then the other big bulk is Solidaridad, which is Playa del Carmen and the other surrounding areas.
And that's basically all of the resorts. So Barcelo, Sirenes,
And
Nickelodeon,
boutique, and the boutique hotels,
and the boutique
everything.
spots. Yeah.
Yep, everything. You got it. Iberostar, Melia's, all of them. They're all in there.
Yeah.
All right, so this is us. Vacation rentals. Active, there's 40,396 active rental units in the region. I believe a couple of weeks ago when we did this, I think the average was 1,016 pesos per night. It's gone up to 1,117. Again, like Nick has explained in the past and said this in the past, this is an average, right? So you're going to have some people that are at 4,000 pesos, and some of them are at 300 pesos. You know, that's just, there's a huge gap depending on where the Airbnb is located, where the rental property is located at, and stuff like that. Okay. So going down, let's see here. Okay. So where's the highest occupancy right now in the region? Right now, the highest occupancy looks like Cancun at 58% on vacation rentals. Playa del Carmen's at 55% and Tulum's at 48%. It's about right. I mean, those are real numbers, you know,
Puerto
occupancy.
Morelos is at 54.
Yeah, and Puerto Morelos at 54. It's up there. Puerto Morelos is really a big expat community right now. It's growing, man. It's growing. There's a lot of stuff happening in Puerto Morelos right now. Good stuff. There's good restaurants there too. The total cost, like I told you a minute ago, it's gone up. And let me see if this is why it's not working. Hold on. And this is the first 3 days of November. That's not really a big deal. And then the last one, the 77% total, I think, including I think this is including hotels and also including vacation rentals in the hotel rooms. Let me change this real quick here. Hold on. So what is this telling us? We've talked about this many times, you know, on dude, these mosquitoes bit me like 6 times. He was like, he just like gorging me like a buffet. So why are these numbers important? You know, why do I think it's important to talk about these numbers? I think it gives a lot of credibility in the region. You know, there's a lot of news happening. There's positive and negative news. You know, there's people that are, we mentioned this earlier, you know, about opinions, right? Who's a hero, who's not a hero. Remember during COVID, and this is a very touchy subject, but remember during COVID on Facebook and Instagram, everybody was a doctor. Everybody was a PhD, bro. Everybody was giving you advice on what it was. They were telling you that there was people telling you what the government was doing when they were like clerks at McDonald's, how they would know insider information about the government was doing to the countries. No clue, but they're basically putting it out there as factual information, whether it be positive or negative, because it was their opinion. Well, there's a lot of those people here. There's a lot of real estate professionals now, quote unquote, that are giving advice about the region on what you should or shouldn't do. Or my favorite one is, my brother told me that I will get better returns on my investment if I'm situated in this particular location in Tulum. How many properties does your brother own? None. Okay. So how does your brother know to give you this advice? And then I'm sitting there, you're sitting there, we're actually competing against the brother who literally knows nothing about the region.
But he didn't even come to Tulum. His buddy went to Tulum and met with the real estate agency director that knows everything.
It's you know, it's funny and it's okay. It's okay because when you're making a big decision like that on investing, whether it be your first, maybe your second property, you're not a avid investor, this is your first big purchase, you need that reassurance, right? You go to your friends and your family and you're like, hey, am I doing the right thing? You know, is this what I should do or should I not do this? And that's normal because we need that reassurance to help that confidence to justify the emotional attachment that we have to the decision we're trying to make. So we need some validation. So you ask your friends and your family, and it makes sense. It's not a bad thing. But when you argue with a real estate agent or when you argue with an advisor on where to buy, and your argument's based on someone else's opinion that really has no, you know, their hands aren't in the fire. There's no stake in the game, you know. It's just it's a little ignorant in my humble opinion. There are some really good opportunities happening right now. There's some good land opportunities right now. There's some good condo opportunities right now. You know, there's people that are trying to they're trying to unload, like I told you in the beginning, right? And at the beginning of our conversation, there's that bubble that popped, right? Well, people are unloading their condos, you know, like basically like what's that word? Like repo, you know, when you go pay your taxes in the States, what do they do that? They take your house away, right? And then they sell the house for what you owe in taxes, no? Auction.
Auction.
That's the word I was talking about. Okay. It's like an auction house. Like for example, we have a 2-bedroom condo, fully furnished, like turnkey. I think it's like 900 square feet, has a rooftop pool, infinity pool, everything in Aldea Zama in the commercial zone, it is going to be the epicenter, okay, of supplying services and everything to the rest of Salvazama and 101. That's going to be the place to be in like 3 or 4 years. The condo is worth like 250, 260. We got it for 165. It's $165,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Aldea Zama.
And
right?
that's what you own.
I'm sorry?
That's one of your properties.
We have it for sale for 165,000.
Okay.
Yeah. We have it. No, I didn't buy it. I got a building there, by the way, right down the street. So it's $165,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, fully furnished. Has electric, has water, has internet, everything. He's got paintings. I mean, it's ready to go. It's a turnkey, right? I wouldn't tell you this is going to be a huge return on your investment right now. I'm not telling you to buy this to rent it out. You're going to make hand over fist, money on it, because you're not, because the rental market's really kind of hard right now. It's going to get better this year. It's probably going to be one of the best years we've had in a long, long time here in the Riviera Maya for vacationers coming here. But I think it's more of an equity purchase, a vacation home. You bought yourself a 2-bedroom condo in Tulum for $160,000.
Park your money in another country and let it sit. Diversify. I want to take a second to explain to everybody as well, because we are agents at the end of the day, right? We help you buy or sell your property, but at the other side of the spectrum is we also are investors. I am involved here. I have my property here in Aldea Zama, and I also have land in Cancun, right outside of Latin America's largest mall that they just finished building. And I think that's important because for people watching this and listening to this and following us, is that we're not just talking about this amazing stuff for you to buy stuff from us. It's like we're a part of this. This is our passion. We do this every day, all day, and we look for deals. We have exclusive things that we are involved in that we can share with you if you decide to work with us and stuff like that. But I think it's important that people know that we also are living and breathing the same stuff, buying up the properties, buying up the land. I actually am going to sell my house in New York. I've been going through a rough time there with the laws changing in New York. And maybe you're watching this because we ran an advertisement for everyone that owns an Airbnb, where literally the governments are changing the laws. And I'm in the process of trying to sell this house and move that money down here because this opportunity is pretty big. It's big in the sense of there are deals. There's places that you can buy and make a bunch of money. There's places that you can diversify and make a good return. There's also options to just throw your money in the S&P 500 and make an 8% return. But 5%, yeah, as of right now. And the other side of it is the government the state, the government, the country in this region relies heavily on tourism. And so what we have in New York City and San Francisco and all these other states, my buddy Dustin, he has to get a permit in not Salt Lake City, what's the other one? In Tahoe, for his Airbnb, and they're regulating this stuff where they're only giving out certain permits based on geographical location in the United States that you didn't get the permit. Well, I just bought that house to rent on Airbnb and you guys just changed the law. And now I have to get a tenant in there to live, full time. And if you bought a place in a spot that has tenant laws that sides with the tenant, where they have squatter rights, like me, you're screwed. And so these are real life situations. I'm going through it. That's why I'm trying to sell my house in New York to move it down here. Because the government is allowing, I mean, you see it, the numbers show there's 453,000 people coming here every single week, on average, maybe 420,000. And there's only 170,000 rooms for them to stay. Right now, people travel in groups, so you can fit 4 people maybe in one room. So the numbers are a little bit
They're
like,
skewed. There's some
they're
buffering.
skewed. But the government is here to promote this. It's not something that's going to change. And for me, I can speak on this personally, is like I see this happening and it makes financial sense and just like normal sense of why would I battle with the government in New York City trying to shut me down with Airbnb, allow squatters to live there, and it's a hassle. And when I can just sell the house and just do it here, and there's no problem, it's welcomed. And the barrier to entry to get a higher return or similar return is not minimum $800,000 investment. All the houses, and I would like to do this. I would like to build out a case study to look at Miami, New York, LA, San Diego, Denver, Chicago, find out the averages of the barrier to entry with the return on investment, and then compare that to here and look at the occupancy. I would like to figure out that data to see.
Do it. And
I would.
It's we have we live in Alice in Wonderland here, man. We live in a fairy tale of returning your investment. A normal return on your investment is 6 to 8%. 8% being like good. That's a solid investment in your real estate in the States. And unless you're doing like a flip and stuff like that, you might make some more money. But as far as like Airbnbs and rental stuff like that, here, we get embarrassed when we can't hit 10%. We're not at 10% ROI. We're like, oh, it's only 10.3%. I wish I could give you 14. And we're trying to find these crazy numbers. But I want to backtrack real quick. I want to give you the devil's advocate. And I'm not by any means I work for the government or side of the government. I'll give you a down to earth analysis on what you just said on the Airbnb laws being implemented. They're probably going to do some stuff like that here in Mexico as well. I'm not saying they're not going to, okay? The reason why they're going to do this is because it's creating unlivable areas of the cities in Mexico where normally it would be residential. And by Airbnb coming in there, it's jacking up the prices and making people not be able to live in these areas because Airbnb is more profitable to the owners and they're making it too expensive to live in these areas. So what Mexico is probably going to do in the next 3 to 5 years, I can already see it, is they're going to make where Airbnb can't be in a residential area. In other words, it can't be like where you have like a bunch of houses, families living, and somebody buys a house, put it in Airbnb. They're going to keep that for residential, not for non-business purposes. But in the downtown areas, in the touristy areas, places where people come on vacation, where people go on vacation, it makes sense. An actual study that happened recently, I think it was in Guadalajara, they were complaining, the locals, people that live in Guadalajara were complaining, saying it's becoming too expensive to live close to downtown because everybody's buying condos for Airbnb and it's increasing the cost per night, or the cost per month, and I can't live downtown anymore. And this is not even a tourist town. What is it with this? How can we fix it? So these things are going to start coming up more and more, and they're going to start creating situations where we're going to have to adjust it, and it makes sense. If people are putting up Airbnbs and residential, I know I love investments, I love making money, but if you think of the not gentrification, but you can kind of go down that route a little bit by saying it's just unaffordable to live in these areas now because of the Airbnb. And so who do you blame there? Do you blame Airbnb or do you blame the investor? Or do you blame the country that's allowing you to buy the condos? Who's to blame for the developer, right? I mean, who's really at fault, right? It's a combination of everybody, right? But in the end, they wouldn't build it if there was no tourism.
Well,
People
yeah, and
on vacation.
there's different markets too. Guadalajara is not reliant on tourism for their GDP as a state, so that makes sense. Whereas this city, I
Correct.
mean, this is like New York City of Mexico. People from even like I mean, I traveled all through Mexico and they're like, no, I used to go on vacation there with my family when I was a kid. That's what I did going to New York, you know, like this is the
Right.
place where people come to as the vacation, even as a local or not a local, but a national Mexican, you know, resident anywhere in Mexico. So I understand that. But if we look at and I'm only speaking about this region. I understand in the other regions. I mean, it's the same as in like Nashville, where my sister lives. They're doing those where they're giving out permits for Airbnb because Nashville is not reliant on, well, they are on
It
tourism.
is. Nashville's a
It
pretty
it
big
is
tourist
it
spot,
is.
bro.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's a
big.
weird example. But um my point is that, you know, in a state like this where you're the majority of everything is reliant on tourism. I mean, it's not there's no they export glass because I think there's a lot of sand here. And so that's the
Yeah.
biggest export and tools um coming out of this region.
Rock.
But
Yeah.
like Guadalajara and Mexico City, I could totally understand. In Mexico City, I mean, that's the same as New York. You know, in Bushwick, Brooklyn, you have X amount of Airbnb units and it's next to the train and no one can rent there. The minimum rent for like a studio is $3,000 a night, whereas it used to be before Airbnb, you know, it's like 1,500 bucks a night. But if I'm the building owner and I can run Airbnb and I can get more money, I'm going to do that. But what happened is exactly what you said, where now no one can live there and all it is just tourists staying there and they're running hotels basically. And then the hotel industry is like, hey, what's going on? Why do they not have to pay the taxes, the permits, all this stuff, but they're doing the exact same thing?
Yep.
So I understand that. And there's a fine line between how do you regulate that? How do you tell a company like Airbnb, yeah, it is. The world is shifting. It's the same with Uber. Uber, where they don't own any taxis and they're running taxis. And then in New York City, you had to get your medallion to be a taxi service and you had to work years. It was like $1 million just to own your own medallion and be able to run your taxi service. Then
Right.
Uber comes in and it's like, boom,
Laters.
Alberto, you want to be a taxi driver? That's cool. And, and then the taxis are like, yo, what? Why are you guys? I just worked my whole life to
Not
get
fair.
this.
It's not fair.
It's not
It's all
fair.
about being fair. Hey, you
You
know,
know,
another thing you said about the skin in the game, you said earlier a minute ago, you said about the about us having our skin in the game. You know,
mhm.
I love saying this quote from this commercial. I'm telling you, you got to look up the commercial for the hair club for men. Look it
Hair
up.
club.
The
Yep,
Hair Club for Men. It's a commercial from back in the 90s. And
I
the
remember.
president of the Hair Club for Men, you know, they're obviously selling, you know, hair growth products for men to have hair, right? So his biggest line on this commercial was, I'm not only the president of Hair Club for Men, I'm also a member. In other words, I also drink out of my own juice that I'm selling, right? I use this as
Yep.
well. We're not just agents, we're not just, tricks of the trade advisors giving you where to buy, stuff like that. You know, we own properties here. I mean, land, buildings, commercial, residential, Airbnb, and long term is what we have, you know, in my family here in this area. And from all the way from Puerto Morelos to 25, 30 minutes outside of Tulum. I'm in the middle of nowhere. And I got it everywhere. So it's not just you should or shouldn't do this, you should or shouldn't do that. It's what I'm going to do or what I did do, and my experience from doing that or going to do this is because of and this, and give you those tips on where to buy and where not to buy. You know, and I
And
can find, go ahead.
no,
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, and yeah, I don't think that anyone else in this region is doing what we're doing. And where do you get that experience? Where do you as the viewer or whoever's reading our emails or following our Instagram, where do you get that information from and that experience? It's watching this, it's joining our Discord channel, it's signing up for our email list, it's following us and hitting us up and asking us questions. We're more than happy to answer questions. And that's, what we're building out is a proper way to do this, but this is our experience. This is what we're doing.
I mean, how can somebody that doesn't even own a condo give you advice on what condo to buy?
Yeah, I mean, if I want to learn how to play tennis, am I going to ask you? No, you don't even know how to play tennis.
No, or golf.
Yeah, or golf.
Or golf. Don't ask me about golf either. Yeah, ask me about World of Warcraft or Counter-Strike. We'll get down. We'll play some games. But it's and I'm not. I don't want to have a bunch of real estate agents hating me now. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm not trying to talk bad about that. I'm talking about just in general. There's a movement right now that I've seen on Instagram, on the real estate websites and Instagram motivational stuff and real estate motivational channels, stuff like that that's out there right now. And I'm seeing something, it's kind of reoccurring now. They're saying for you to be a better real estate agent, you need to go through the process of buying your own condo. It's literally the message that I've been seeing recently on a lot of these Instagrams, which is leading me to believe that there's a lot of real estate agents that don't even own their own properties, which is okay, I guess. I mean, I don't know if I could work at a car dealership and not own a car. How are you going to promote a car that you're selling to sell a car if you don't even drive to work? I mean, I don't know. But it's very important. It's very important that should be that should be a question you should ask. When you get asked all these questions as a consumer saying, what's your time frame? What's your budget? 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. Do you want a villa? You want Tulum, Playa del Carmen, Puerto Morelos, Acomal, Puerto Venturas? Where you want to buy? All these very invasive questions. And your question should be when you're interviewing your agents, you interview them asking them, okay, and how many properties do you own and where? And why did you buy those? Give me your insights on your decisions. What was the biggest factor in your decision making on why you bought what you bought then, and the reasons behind it and what you're doing with it? That's a great question that you could ask an agent, and they'll either be like, oh, I don't know what to tell you because I don't have one, or they're going to say, dude, I would love to talk about myself. Everybody likes to talk about themselves, right? And start telling you where they own and stuff like that within reason, see, right? So that should be something that's important besides being just as important as having a license, right? You might have a new real estate agent that just studied, got the real estate license, they're ready to go take on the world. Well, then that should be their answer. I just started in real estate 6 months ago. I got my real estate license. I just started working with this company. My first purchase is going to be on my vision board is this condo for this amount of money. I want to have it by this time next year because it's going to give me this, and this, and these are the reasons behind it. That's just as good to me as owning one because you've done some research and you've got your game plan laid out to show why you'd be a good person to trust when buying real estate. So that was my little tantrum.
I agree.
What else are we talking about? We're going to talk about the market, the heroes, the losers, the bubble, the pops, why it's not a bad thing that Tulum's had that pop because now it's going to be stronger coming back, which I 100% believe that. What else? Our Discord. I'm telling you, Nick's talked about the Discord a lot, and I've been slowly, talking about it as well because I'm a little more shy about it than Nick is because I know how important, Nick knows how important it is. I'm not saying he doesn't know or I do know. It is very important that when you get there, you get something of value, right? You get something of value. Why am I going to Nick and Alberto's, Discord? What's so cool about the place? Well, it's to get information that we might have talked about here, but also information throughout the week that we're posting in there. I'm posting links in there all the time on the news, what's going on in this area, where the train is at, where the airport's at, when the flights are coming in, cost per square meter on land, where it's growing, where the percentages are higher. That would be an amazing map to make. To take one of the maps that I put in the chat the other day, and on that map, put a 3-year window of what percentage of increase in price per square meter has happened in each region to see which regions had the biggest growth. That would be a great way to show where to buy and where to expect bigger growths. Because there's parts of Tulum right now where you can get land at $75 to $80 a square meter. That's probably half a mile away from places that are at $300 a square meter. that those were honestly in the past 2 years at $25 a square meter. So it's
I,
300% increase in value, right? So this stuff is happening. I hate to go back to that again, but man, the time is now. Time is now. If you wait and you wait, you're going to wait to see what happens with inflation or see what happens with this. You're going to do the exact same thing that I do every single year to myself. I wish I would have started going to the gym last year when I said I wanted to start going to the gym. I'd be skinny right now. Literally, that happens to me every year.
yeah.
If I would have just said yes back then, I would be where I want to be physically right now. Well,
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen to you with this boom, because the airport is going to have its first flight. The moment the first airplane lands in Tulum, you're already too late.
The
You're too
floodgates.
late, the big one.
Yep. I want to post the data that we just went over in the Discord channel. So I'm gonna put the link to the Discord. And actually, I send it to you in the email. So you gotta sign up, you gotta go to our website, download the case study, and you'll
Yep.
get the Discord link. The
case
case study. Maybe we should do the case study next week too. We can go over the case study and
Nice.
show the numbers. Yeah, because the case study shows what a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom in Aldea Zama is making from a unit that I managed for 5 months. We grew it 478% in rental from the amount that it was posted at in May up until the high season in December. And the average nightly price is at about $175 a night. And
Where did it
so
start? At what price did it start?
it started at 61. Started at 61. The highest rental we got was $359. And so this is where, I mean, it has everything. Like she bought it for, I think, 410,000, 405,000, and she's getting about an 8% return on the based on those numbers and that projection
Solid.
of exactly the solid numbers. Plus, I put in a 9% appreciation, which is about right for her. She's in Loom Zama, which is, a
Beautiful.
really good spot in
Expensive.
Tulum.
Beautiful.
And so, look at that. It puts on YouTube Live, it puts ads. It says that it put an ad on there. I never seen that before. So yeah, let's go over that next week. We could do the case the case study. I'll put the link to the case study in here if you want to read it yourself and go through it. That's a good idea. I'll put that there. And yeah, so
What else? That's about it for me, man. I don't know what else I can tell you. I think we discussed everything. I had a huge couple of tours this past couple of weeks. So I apologize that it's been me that hasn't been able to do this with Nick, but I'm not a control freak, but I just don't like to let go too much all the time. So I do these tours myself, just so you guys know, we do these, I do these tours with these people. And when they come into town, I will pick you up at 8:30 in the morning. We'll get a cup of coffee at 8:45. And we'll do from 8:30 until like 6:30 will be the last showing with a 30 minutes for break for lunch. At the end of our tour, we've gone through the regions of Tulum. We've gone through whatever you're looking for, whether it be houses, land, condos, whatever it is. And we'll have preset appointments with like 8 different developers, like every hour. I mean, it's exhausting, but at the end of the day, so far, everyone's been like, wow. Seeing it on YouTube, seeing it on the internet, seeing it in Google is one thing, but being here and seeing the development that's happening, seeing the progress, it's almost daunting. But
we're gonna launch something. We're gonna launch something in the next couple of weeks of an event where we have a group of you come down. We put you up in one of our Airbnbs somewhere, and we have a full 2 or 3 days of meeting the developer, meeting the accountant, meeting the notary, going over the land that the developer has, going over all the numbers and really engulfing yourself in this, because there are some, I mean, just over the past, what, 2.5, 3 years that I've been doing this, there's a lot of people that have these questions. They have, you have the money, you want to put your money somewhere, but you need someone to trust. You need to see it, you need to feel it, you need to know what's going on, how it works in the back end, how you structure your business, how you have an offshore holding company with an LLC, a fideicomiso, your taxes, like all kinds of things. And that's what we're gonna start doing. Have you guys come down here for the other side of it, so we can always still do the tours, right? But if you want to take it to the next level, we'll have that option available. Alberto and I are putting something together.
Come with breakfast, lunch, dinner, private
Chefs,
tours, meetings with
parties.
the developers. You'll get a workshop with Nick and the Airbnb on how to beat the algorithm and how to increase your return on using Airbnb. Doesn't matter, on the unit. What else we'll be doing? You'll have a rental car to use at your leisure after we're done doing our daily stuff. I mean, it's gonna be it's really only for serious people that are really looking at wanting to invest on here, because it's not free. But we'll do something like a kickback where if you buy within the next 30 days, the money you spend on this trip, we'll give it back to you. We'll do something like that to where it's for people that want to buy. They're just not quite sure yet. They need that extra reassurance. And we've got some really strong 20+ year experience, 30, 40 developments in this region, solid developers that have aligned with us, that have gone and I've had lunch with and dinner with the friends of the family that are more than happy to give this information, this wealth of knowledge they have, not for free, because you're going to pay for it, but for free. You're going to come here, you're going to be sitting with these guys, and they're going to give you the ins and the outs on what, when, where, why, how, why develop, why you shouldn't develop, why you should develop. I mean, all that stuff. Really cool stuff. So that's coming soon as well. Coming soon as well.
So cool. That's all for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna edit this the description here right now and drop some links in here so that you guys can check out everything that we've spoken about. Alberto, if you can send me the data, I'm gonna drop that in, or just send it in the Discord chat.
I'll put it in the Discord channel right now.
And yeah, so we'll see you guys next week. We are going to be on a set schedule, so it'll be 10:30 in the morning Cancun time. We just changed the clocks back. It used to be 10:30 like Chicago time. Now we're on Eastern time. So we're going to do this every week, 10:30 a.m. Sign up for our newsletter. You can add this to your calendar. We have the case study, my book, the course, the data, the Discord. Like, we have a lot of things going on for you guys to get all this information and communicate with us on investing down here in Mexico. We do have, well, I'll tell you about that next week. So yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you guys, and have a great day.
Bye.